What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Supermicro Computer stock, ticker symbol SMCI, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Friday, February 23rd. Well, guys, SMCI stock here today up 241 points, 32.87%. Let's take a look here at this name, testing $1,000 today. Just last night when we were discussing, of course, Nvidia earnings are in big part to thank for these moves across the market, but SMCI really benefiting here today, 33% nearly. Let's take a look at this name. First of all, before we get into it, guys, just really quick, if you wouldn't mind, leave a like on the video. It's free, it's easy, and it helps out tremendously. You have no idea. Thanks a lot. Let's get into it. So listen, first thing I want to mention here today, we are down a little bit after hours. We're down approximately what here? Let's just go really rough on the close. We're down less than 2%. Listen, the volume is so incredibly low. I don't care if it's down 2%, it's up 2%. I don't care if it's up 3%. Take it with a grain of salt. Volume is incredibly low after hours. And for any of you guys who have traded, really any stock, but especially ones that aren't like Apple or SPY, for example, you can move the stock after hours just by placing not even that large of trades. It's actually shocking how easy it is for stocks to move after hours. We have to take it with a grain of salt, okay? Once we open tomorrow, that's the real test when you have a big move. The following open is the real test, okay? Really quick here, a couple of things I wanted to lay out. Looking here intraday, just grab a random sequence. This stock, you guys hear me talk a lot about stocks being in play. Well, guess what? SMCI was in play today. I mean, the stock's up 33%. We had an indirect, but Nvidia earnings were a catalyst essentially for a lot of the market. SMCI, of course, is just going to benefit directly from that. But I actually alerted SMCI for a couple of scalp setups here today in the private trading room. If you look, we were getting good volume on pullaways. Okay, good volume on pullaways, fading. Good volume on pullaways, fading. Okay, and this repeated quite a bit actually. And we were getting little pull-ins to the 9 and 20 EMAs. A few also to the 50 EMA. Okay. When stocks are in play, this is a setup that I call the breathe and go setup. You pull, you breathe, okay, and then you go a little bit. I mean, this was I know it doesn't look like much, but this was a $6 pop. Okay, so $5-6 a share. I mean, that is tremendous. And if you can manage risk tight, which I always do, and I encourage traders to do, like you look at this pull away, shorter term pull in on lower volume. Yeah, you had some wiggles, pullaways. And it's up to you how you want to manage your risk on trades like these. For me, I typically go for 1.5 to 2.5 R, meaning on my winning trades, I look for, and these are scalps. You can scalp this quite a bit on stocks that are in play. Winners that are 1.5 to 2.5 times larger than the losers, than the risk on the trade. Okay, so you can keep risk tight, and that's typically a dollar value below the EMA you're scalping off of, or perhaps if they're close, you can go just slightly below the EMA that's below it. But guys, these are nothing more than self-fulfilling prophecy psychological levels. The TA is not magic. It's purely psychology. Okay, and when a stock is in play and people are tackling each other to buy the thing, there's significant edge in scalping the psychology. And by the way, just to be clear, and then we'll move on here, this isn't like I'm gonna take one trade here today and it's gonna make my month. This is scalping. These are quick trades done frequently. Okay, you're gonna have winners, you're gonna have some losers, but over a big sample size, there's edge. You gotta be quick, you gotta be emotionless, and the trades do not take very long. That's actually the ideal scenario, is that they happen quickly. If they don't go in your favor quickly, typically you cut it. And risk is always managed tight. Okay, different trading strategy. Not for everybody. However, like for me, it tends to be what I gravitate towards. That's why I do it all day, every day. And the idea is that the scalping is for revenue generating, and then you take the capital and you invest it. And then at some point you get to a certain point, you live off the passive, quote unquote passive, passive. The term passive income I think is kind of silly, because is anything really 100% passive? But the idea is to generate revenue through the scalping, invest it longer term, and then you can live off of that and just continue to scalp to continue to accelerate the growth of the investment accounts or the real estate or whatever it is that you're into. This here is the earned income that drives the bigger stuff, because scalping is scalable, but it's scalable only up to a certain dollar amount. It's a big dollar amount, but you can't scalp with $100 million. Okay, there's not enough liquidity in the stocks that are in play. Okay, that's why you go to the other vehicles for the longer term, bigger macro stuff. This is for generating revenue. Okay, let's move on now to the day-to-day stuff, starting with the 5-minute chart. I just want to look at volume here. You guys can see it's really clear. Now we have obviously big volume off the open, not unexpected. On the pullaways here, so you have like this big pullaway, this green pullaway, you have increasing volume. You have increasing volume on this pullaway, and you don't really see a whole heck of a lot of increasing volume on the red bars until we get to the close, but that's to be expected anyway. Context here, right? So I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Let's move on now to the 30-minute and look at areas to watch as we head into tomorrow. Now, really quick, I should mention that I've been tracking unusual options activity every single day. I don't think I've missed a single day for the last 4 to 5 years. Longer than I've ever even offered that as a service. I alerted today 2 bullish UOAs on SMCI. They were unusual in nature, and I think one was for maybe 1.5 million. I think the other one was for like 3.5 million. But they were unusual in the way that they came through. Okay, whether that be a strike price, expiration, how it hit the bid-ask spread. When something hits unusual, not necessarily just dollar amount, it gets alerted. Okay, and I do that all manually. It's all human verified. You guys can take a look at that if you'd like at the first link in the pinned comment. But I thought that was interesting to share, because it's not super common that we get 2 from the same name in one day. Okay. Now, here on the 30-minute chart, look here, you can see that we reclaimed both of these here in the last 24 hours. I think that's really interesting. So moving forward, really on the 30-minute, what I'd prefer to see, if you're a bull, you really don't want to see a back test of either of those, because it's about 100 points away to the nearest one. Really, I want to see that white line, the 50 period, just curling upside and getting some feet up underneath the move as soon as possible. And here on the 30-minute chart, that 50 period is going to be the fastest moving out of the 30-minute, 4-hour, and daily, with those same indicators on all of those. Of course, shortest time frame, quickest moving average. Now, moving on here to the 4-hour chart, we can take a look here. We bounced hard this morning off of that 4-hour off that 50 period on the 4-hour after reclaiming that. So again, it's going to take time to move upside. Bears, really, on this chart, you'd prefer to see a downside break of the 50 period. Just understand, though, I mean, that is about 15% away to the downside, but we've seen obviously crazier things, up 33% here today. Bulls, obviously just looking for that to curl upside as soon as possible, though understanding on the 4-hour chart, it's likely to take some time. Now, the most important chart of all, that's going to be the daily. This is what everyone's paying attention to. And the daily, when it paints an obvious story, don't overcomplicate it. The moving averages are not relevant. The 50-day is down below 500, at least immediately, right? The 200-day is down around 310. When we're looking at this chart here, what is the obvious story? Because that's the story I want to pay attention to. I want to pay attention to the story that anybody who's looking at this stock without even a lot of TA knowledge can look at and say, that's where I'm going to start making decisions. $1,000. Listen, it's $1,000. It's so obvious. Okay, bears, $1,000 is your enemy. We rejected hard off of that today. You prefer to see a rejection and fade. Get as far away from 1,000 as possible. Break downside through 9. Ideally, get downside through 8. Bulls, you want to see a break and hold of 1,000. Get above 1,000, back test it, claim it as support, head up toward all-time high. Okay, through 1,100, heading up toward 12. That's ideally the scenario here in the near term, whether you're bullish or bearish on the name. Now, let's take a look here at this is going to be interesting. The bias on the chain on SMCI today, big volume for this name. This is not all that common. 578,000 total contracts traded today. 346,000 of those were calls, 231,000 of those were puts, so we are seeing a call-heavy chain here on a supermicrocomputer stock today. The short-term speculators, however, the short-term bets being placed for the near term, the 0 to 20 delta range, 139,000 calls, 161,000 puts, so we are seeing a slightly bearish leaning short-term sentiment, at least as far as the out-of-the-money options traders are concerned. But then on every other delta range here, so you go closer to at the money, and then you go in the money and deeper in the money, those are those more mid-term to longer-term sentiments. Those are all leaning call heavy here today in the SMCI chain. Okay, but overall ratio, again, still leaning bullish. Just the short term that's leaning slightly bearish, definitely not overwhelmingly so. Listen, for now, I plan to keep covering SMCI here every single day. If you guys would like me to do that, just let me know in the comment section. That feedback helps out a lot. And again, if you want to help push this video to a few more people, leave a like, helps out tremendously, and I'll see you in the next one.